Rotus Oddiri up next.
Good morning, Rafai. Good morning, Ayo.
Yeah.
Good morning, Prof.
Rotus.
Good to see you all.
Yeah.
Let's race through it all, right? Quickly, oil prices, 2% gain for the week on supply constraints, supply concerns and geopolitical concerns. I've talked about oil all week. Brent crude could see a 2% gain this week. Let's jump to Asian markets. Mixed bag, but the story for Asian markets, Asian stocks, is Hong Kong. Technology stocks absolutely ripping. Is it BYD? Is it Tencent? Is it Alibaba? Hong Kong stocks are at a 3-year high. Speaking of Alibaba, releasing their third quarter earnings for the October through December quarter, they blew past earnings. Alibaba is a $323 billion market cap company. To put that in context, if it was an African country, it would be the third largest African country by GDP after South Africa and Egypt. And they've spent about $10 billion on capital expenditure last year, $10 billion with a B. They plan on also expanding their artificial intelligence investments. Jack Ma was seen with Xi Jinping this week. We played the clip where Xi Jinping met with technology CEOs. That also boosted confidence. Plus, their Qwen 2.5 AI software, they've upgraded it. They're also planning on putting that into Apple phones that are going to be sold in China. Let's get to the US. Adifemi already touched on this, but we really have to jump into very quickly the US wanting to take mineral resources. I mean, they're not even hiding it from Ukraine. Here is Scott Bessent in an interview where he talked about that.
I think President Zelensky, unfortunately, escalated and has put some daylight between.
How did he escalate?
A lot of his remarks in Munich, I thought were inappropriate. President Zelensky, when I met with him, assured me that he'd be signing the minerals deal in Munich. He has not. And look, the real purpose here, and I think it's turned into kind of this media circus, that President Trump had a very elegant plan, and it was bring the Ukrainians closer to the U.S. Let's do this economic deal. And even Karl Rove in the Wall Street Journal this morning approves of it, that the U.S. with greater economic interest in Ukraine provides a security shield. So the sequencing of what was going to happen was bring the Ukrainians closer to the U.S. Through economic ties, convince the American people and the American public, get them on side, and then tell the Russians, go to the negotiating table with a very fulsome message that if we need to, we will take sanctions up.
Very interesting. Very quickly, we're supposed to take this yesterday. Andrew Bishop, who is a head of global research at Signum Partners, here he is responding to why that deal doesn't even make sense, the minerals deal. Please listen carefully.
That the deal wasn't signed as quickly as the U.S. expected is because it had not been clearly defined what this deal was about. Was it about paying back the U.S. for previously delivered weapons, in which case the U.S. just doesn't have leverage, right? I mean, it's given the money. There's no reason why Zelensky would agree to pay back post hoc. Was it about paying for continued delivery of U.S. weapons, which we think is essentially what it'll end up being? Or is it about sort of making sure that the U.S. has a vested interest in Ukraine's future the way it does Taiwan, and that acts as a security guarantee? And that, I think, is not realistic because these minerals and U.S. companies are not present in these mineral areas. And Ukraine is just not going to take this pie-in-the-sky promise of security guarantees.
Elon Musk says he's going to fix community notes. This is just...
Because it didn't favor him.
It didn't favor him. Look at this tweet. And this is still linked to Zelensky. Basically, he says here, unfortunately, I mean, this is incredible. Community notes is increasingly being gamed by governments and legacy media working to fix this. It should be utterly obvious that Zelensky-controlled poll about his own approval is not credible. A little background on that. Trump falsely claimed that Zelensky has a 5% approval rating. That's false. It's actually 57%. They now came out and said that the poll that's put the 57% is backed by U.S. aid. U.S. aid is now a pariah. If you mention U.S. aid in Confederate, it means that there's some... meanwhile, there's no evidence. That Republican senator who claimed that U.S. aid is funding Boko Haram, not one shred of evidence since then. He also claimed that there should be elections in Ukraine and that Zelensky is a dictator. Meanwhile, it is a parliamentary-approved martial law in Ukraine as a result of the war that they cannot hold elections, and he wasn't the one that can put that forward by fiat. Anyway, that is U.S.-Ukraine tensions. Let's move to U.S.-Canada tensions, and forgive me, Aaron and Ebby, for jumping into sports. There was a four-nation hockey tournament between Finland, Sweden, Canada, and the U.S. Canada, dying-minute goal, beat the U.S. 3-2 in U.S. soil. Take a look at the reaction. Now, why am I bringing up sports? Because it has been so politically charged because of the tariffs, because Trump said that Canada should become a 51st state, dismissing their sovereignty. And look, he was joking, but here is US Vice President J.D. Vance at CPAC, the conservative gathering, where Elon Musk was holding a chainsaw, Milei was there. He made a joke, to be fair, but he said that if Canada loses this match, this was before the match, if they lose the match, the tariffs are going to go up. Take a listen.
Canada made the mistake of booing Team USA, and then they got kicked. Team USA.
Fantastic.
Canada, again, today, rematch.
Yep.
A message of encouragement for Team USA versus Canada.
Absolutely. Well, we'd like you to kick again because you don't boo the United States of America. And to Canada, if you guys don't win, the tariffs are even higher. No, I'm kidding. That's the president's decision.
They ended up losing, and so people are now saying the tariffs should go down. Anyway, to Nigeria, monetary policy, we were all waiting for this. Rufai and I got this correct. They did hold rates. In fact, they didn't change anything. MPR maintained at 27.5. Asymmetric corridor maintained plus 500 minus 100. Cash reserve ratio for deposit money backs 50%, for merchant backs 16%. Liquidity ratio at 30%. Highlights from Cardoso's press conference. This is somebody who has just put his head down and just done his work. He said the rebase CPI, even at 24%, is still above acceptable levels. The CBN is studying the rebase figures and going to give their own take later on. He's targeting single-digit inflation between the medium to long term. The Naira has been stabilized on CBN reforms like the electronic foreign exchange matching system and also reserves at 39. And then also, pretty much that they're going to be working with the fiscal side in terms of trying to get the economy going.
Rotus, as we wrap up, let's constantly see the hypocrisy of America. Very good question you've raised. So what does America also ask in return for all they've done for Israel? They're over $250 billion in grants over this year. So they'll say technological collaboration. They'll say they are in full defense of Israel. Is that the case?
Right.
So what else will also happen after the Marshall Plan? Why did America have to go in there also to help rebuild and start up the companies again? You see, everything is not transactional. Some things are geopolitics.
Right.
We must also understand that narrative. We'll say thank you to everybody for joining us this morning on this. Thank you so much.